Hello, lovelies. Chapter 51. This is possibly my favorite chapter. I know I say that about a lot of chapters, but this chapter is fascinating. It's kind of the culmination of the whole 51 chapters before it. It asks the why. We've looked at structures, we've looked at physiology, we've looked at why animals do things, and this is the culmination. This is like, well, why? Why do they do that? What is the advantage? If the behavior does not have an advantage, the animal doesn't do it. So this is really what makes every walk, vacation, field trip interesting for me. Because I see something weird that an animal does, or even a plant, but mostly an animal, and I say, why does it do that? There has to be an advantage. There has to be a reason that it does that. Okay, let's look. Why fiddler crabs actually like wave, these little blue crabs, they wave their claws at people. Here they are waving. Hi. They wave. Why? Why do they do? Why do they have this gigantic claw that waves? It's weird. Um, these stickleback fish will attack anything with the red bottom. Um, Migration. Why does this occur? The bee waggle dance. It's true, bees waggle. They have a dance. And we'll talk about some dead wet guys in just a moment. So hold on to that thought. Okay, this is the lecture outline that you should have downloaded so you can follow along. If you have not done that, pause me, do it, pause it, and download this because you need to be able to follow along. Okay, animal behavior, again, it's physiology. It's the physiology and the process and why. An animal behavior, this is probably going to be a matching or a multiple choice or something, is an action carried out by muscles under control of the nervous system in response to a stimulus. So there's a reason that it does it. Behavior is essential for, this is why you behave if you're an animal in a certain way. Does it help you acquire food? Is it something to eat? I behave this way because it gets me food. Does it get you women or boys? But in most of the cases, it's girls. Mostly women choose. So does it get girls to like me? Um, is it going to prevent me from getting eaten? Because that's also a thing in Fear an Animal. Is this going to get me eaten? Because if so, I'd kind of rather not do it. Is this going to help protect and feed and nurture my young? And does it contribute to my homeostasis in some way? And these are the questions that you need to ask. When you see behavior, it's got to answer one of these questions. It just does. They don't do things for no reason. It's subject to selection pressure. So if they start doing something and it's not advantageous, they'll stop doing it because their young won't flourish. They won't have high fitness and they'll stop doing it. So it's an evolutionary thing. They've started doing it for a reason over a period of time, and it's got to be successful. If it takes energy for them to do and it's not successful, eventually they'll stop doing it. Again, a function of fitness. If you don't remember what fitness is, you should look it up. But it's Darwin saying the number of offspring that you're able to produce. So it's all about how many offspring you can produce. And that is all about how long you can stay alive and get chicks to dig you. So it's all about getting girls to like you, as it turns out. Actually a biology thing. Okay, let's talk about anatomy. Your anatomy also determines your behavior. If you have a weird anatomy, you're going to have a weird behavior that goes along with your anatomy. So function is mostly determined by structure. Structure determines function. Write that down. Structure determines function. If you have a particular structure, that's going to limit your behavior. My example is snails don't run fast or do anything fast because they're snails. If you look at them, they're just not built for speed. You look at a shark, it's built for speed. Everything is aerodynamic, built for speed, built for predators. You can look at an animal and kind of tell if it's a carnivore or an omnivore because of the anatomy of it, because how it's built. How does its stomach process things? So morphology / anatomy is very important. Just looking at something can tell you a bunch about why it might be having some kind of behavior. Physiology, what kind of digestion does it have? What kind of homeostasis? What kind of internal, external temperature? Body temperature, reproduction cycle, all these kinds of things. Just knowing the physiology of an animal, super important. So anatomy and physiology together will determine a lot of behavior. Just super cool stuff. This chapter is just chock full of super cool stuff. Some birds, this is in the book somewhere, some birds learn their song from their mom. So you can put an orphan bird, like a bird of a different species, in a nest with a different kind of bird, and that bird will sing the song of the mom. The mom will teach the bird. It's a learned behavior. So that bird thinks it's a whatever mockingbird and sings the mockingbird song, even though it's a parakeet or something. But there are some birds that, even though I'm a parakeet, and even though I live with mockingbirds, and even though I have never heard the parakeet song, I will sing it. When it's time for me to reproduce, I will sing the parakeet song. Fascinating studies that look at the differences between these things. So, two things that we need to know to really understand behavior. What stimulus causes this behavior? Is it the threat of a predator? Some things will be stimulated by the noise of a predator, the smell of a predator. Predator, run. Is it a stimulus that's the smell of food? Food, go get it. Is it a stimulus that's the smell of a female? Female, time to mate. I think there's a Siberian hamster that goes like miles when they smell the female, like it travels miles, like a hamster. They're little, and they go miles because they're stimulated by the smell of the female. They have a really impressive olfactory sense. So there'll be some kind of stimulus that starts the behavior, a smell, a time of year, or something. And there'll also be a function, like it doesn't do it for no reason. Is it to stay warm? So it goes, or stay cool, so it goes north or south, or it migrates, or it eats, or it does something. So what causes the behavior? What's the stimulus? And what function does it serve? These questions will come at you. Now, they're actually the big 4 questions. This is by Nico Tinbergen. We'll talk about some dead white guys in a minute. This guy was a pioneer in this field. He was sort of the guy in animal behavior. And he suggested 4 questions. So your actual assignment will be to answer these questions for the animals in your book, or at least the animals I find interesting. Some of them are not that interesting. The first 2 are the ultimate causation. Why? Dude, why do you migrate? That seems exhausting. Little tiny Siberian mouse. Why do you go so far just to get a girl? Isn't there like a better way to do that? There's birds that collect trash and make these like pretty houses. All right. Why? Why would you spend a month collecting shiny trash to build a nest? Why would you do that? So why? Why does the behavior occur? So the why is actually 2 questions, not just why, but 2 sub flavors of why. Why is, again, the bigger one. Does the behavior aid in the survival or reproduction? Is it trying to keep you alive? Is it trying to feed you? Or is it trying to help you reproduce? So really the why question will fall into either, is it to help you survive / eat / not get killed by predators? Is it to help you survive, or is it to help you reproduce? Because those are really the only motivations in life. Question 1, subcategories. Question 2, how does natural selection favor this behavior? So what is the evolutionary history? How is this an advantage? If you do this behavior, is this an advantage? If you're a tiny mouse and you walk miles and miles on your little mice legs to get the girl, does that help you have more babies? There has to be a reason. There has to be an evolutionary evidence that this is useful. So those are the 2 why questions. The next question is, how do you do that? Like, how on earth does that mouse smell the female from miles away? Well, there has to be some mechanism, some kind of olfactory, something she's producing, something they're producing. So what stimulates this behavior? What physiological mechanism allows this behavior to happen? And secondly, what does the animal's body actually do in response to the stimulus? So there's a stimulus like, ooh, I smell Siberian mouse lady. I smell some of that. What does that smell? I think that's mouse girl. So that's question 3. What stimulus causes it? Question 4 is, what am I going to do about it? Am I going to walk a mile? Because I'm kind of a small, tiny little Siberian mouse. Am I going to walk a mile? It's cold. It's Siberia. What am I going to do? So what's the stimulus? And what am I going to do about the stimulus? Those are the how questions. So those are the 4 questions that you're going to answer for some of the other things in this chapter. Okay, dead white guys. Let's talk. Actually, let's talk about dead white guys in the next one. Let's take a pause, and I'll be back. Well, yeah, I'll be back with dead white.